Good Friday at 6 p.m. The play 12 Angry Men will premiere in the Gershwin Theatre, New York. The play stars actors Anthony Hopkins and Tom Hardy, who will be joining us tonight for a Q&A. You may know Anthony from movies such as Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal. He is co-starred by Tom, who has acted in films such as The Revenant, Black Hawk Down, and Venom. The cast also includes actors such as Dev Patel, Stephen Merchant. To give a brief summary about the play, it starts with the defense and prosecutors rested, and jurors are in the jury room to decide whether a young man is guilty or innocent of his father's murder. What begins as an open murder case soon becomes a detective story that raises a series of clues that jurors doubt, and a mini-drama about the prejudice of the jurors about the trial, the accused, and each other. Based on the piece, the whole action takes place on the stage of the jury room. Welcome, gents. Jimmy. Alright, the first question is for you, Tom. Can you give us a brief description about your character?
Yeah, well, thanks for having us on the show. That was quite the intro. I've been a big fan of this show since I was a little boy. Juror 8. I think my character's the type you either side with or go against. As in the play, he often slows down the processes known as the sensible one. This causes him to have conflicts with many characters, especially Anthony's juror number 3. He often has different opinions and clashes with some of the other characters. He brings controversial ideas about the case that ruffle a few feathers within the group, and this is because he's a very intelligent, fair man who would appeal to the audience who enjoy the hero or underdog archetype. And if you're one of the people who side with the villain, he will certainly stir you up.
Tom, your character sounds wonderful. Now, Anthony, can you please explain your character for us?
Yeah, sure. Juror number 3 is that guy that's always shouting, bullying, and degrading the others to gain control. He has no problem harassing the other jurors if they think differently from him. As soon as the other jurors walk into the meeting room, juror number 3 automatically begins to exert its influence on the other member of the jury, the weakest member. Juror number 3 is annoyed that it took so long, as it is obvious to him that the defendant was guilty. He is anxious to clear the ballot and is shocked to find that there is a juror who sees things differently than he does. For some reason, the juror views this as an inherent threat to both his masculinity and authority. He is not swayed by the defendant's age, nor does he care for the proper inspection of the evidence. He disregards the law and lets his personality define his position.
Your character sounds really interesting. Now, following on from that, how do you think the audience will react specifically to your characters?
I'll take this one. I think that the play tests some boundaries and will not be everyone's cup of tea. In saying this, it raises some very crucial topics that need to be discussed, such as corrupt justice systems and inequality. Especially with all the police shootings that are happening lately, it is a play that needs to be seen. My character is all for fairness and justice. He feels the defendant is being wrongly accused, and despite the rest of the jurors believing otherwise, he builds up a case for why the boy is innocent. He must deal with issues of classism and untruthful testimonies. These touchy subjects will make the audience feel anger and empathy as they are either side with the accused boy or go against him.
And just to elaborate, also both our characters are complete opposite personalities and they share completely different views on the case. This causes various conflicts between the two characters throughout the play. For example, in one of the scenes, a verbal exchange very nearly becomes a physical exchange where juror 3 loses temper and has to be held back by the other jurors.
Alright, next question. So the time period of play is of central importance. Can you explain some of the key context that transforms your understanding of the text?
Of course. 12 Angry Men paints a portrait of small portions of the American society in the mid-1950s worldwide economy had recovered from the Great Depression of the late 1920s and the 1930s. America had emerged victorious and strong from the Second World War. The challenges facing American society were no longer to do the basic survival, but instead about negotiating America's place in the global political environment. America was engaged in an ongoing conflict with the Soviet Union, the Cold War, which continued for many decades. This was a struggle for the political and economical dominance between two very powerful nations, and was not always military, but often social, political, and economical. At the same time, the nation was entering an internal struggle, the civil rights movement, which was concerned with ending racial discrimination and promoting freedom, respect, and equality.
I agree. I can see why the context is a big part of the play. Now, what challenges were you faced with acting as Juror 8?
Personally, I love getting into character, and when I step on stage, I'm able to take on a whole new persona, especially in front of a crowd as big as the ones we're expecting on Friday and the few days to follow. It really helps to believe you really are the character and just indulge yourself into the role. I had a lot of fun acting as Juror 8, as he's a very strong-willed, smart man who doesn't mind voicing an opinion, even when it's liked or not. I will admit I had some challenges acting in this role since he is different to how I normally act. In the sense he is peaceful and compassionate. He is very logical and thinks before he speaks. These characteristics really help him with all the verbal conflicts he's involved with. He has multiple confrontations as he tries to persuade the other jurors to agree with him. Whilst dealing with antagonistic characters, he stays true to himself and he shows a great amount of wisdom.
Thanks, guys. It's been wonderful having you. I'll definitely be seeing your play 12 Angry Men at the Gershwin Theatre at 6 p.m. on Friday night. You can too if you book your tickets at tickytech.com.
Thanks for having us, Jimmy. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
Look forward to seeing you.